A Prince for Christmas was released in 2015. This is directed by Fred Olen, and it is a pretty classic Prince pretends to be a commoner and falls in love with somebody story, and I rather enjoyed it. It's definitely got a very kind of comforting feel to it. There's something about it, and I don't know if it's the diner that we spend quite a lot of time in or the snowy scenes that make it feel kind of fuzzy and warm, but it's got a really lovely feel to it. Our prince is Prince Duncan, played by Kirk, and he falls in love with Emma, played by Viva Bianca. And this happens because he's driving in his car hits a big bank of snow. His car, well, actually, it's a rental car, but the car is wrecked underneath. So he has to spend the night in this little town at a B&B, and he goes to the diner for something to eat, and the diner is owned by Emma. We do have an emotional aspect. It's not the most emotional film, but we do have some emotional aspects because Emma lost her parents around that time at Christmas, and obviously she's still grieving. That doesn't ever go away, and she's also ending a pretty difficult relationship with somebody else, somebody who clearly doesn't want to let her go. So there are a lot of things going on in her life, and when she meets Duncan, he allows her to kind of escape from that and just be happy and just enjoy things. So of course she likes to spend time with Duncan. What I quite like about this one is that Duncan doesn't say he isn't a prince, but he never says he is a prince. So technically he never actually lies about his identity. He's just not very revealing with anything that he says, which is an interesting way of going about it, because usually the prince will lie and say that their family is big in business, or they're from he did say he was from Europe, but they're from out of town, and that's why nobody around there knows him. But actually he didn't really need to lie very much, and I think it was an interesting take. It's definitely got a strong Christmassy feel to it. It's heartwarming, and there are some Christmas decorations. It's not the most sickly sweet. So if you don't like your Christmas films to be too festive, too jolly, then I think this one's got a nice middle ground. There's plenty of Christmas in it that we can call it a Christmas film, but not so much that it will turn some people off, because I know not everybody likes their Christmas films to be completely drenched in tinsel and merriment. Personally, I quite like them like that, but I still really enjoyed this. The characters are all really likable, despite the fact that Emma's going through a lot of difficulties. She's not unlikable. And I say that because sometimes with films like this, the protagonist can be having a hard time, but that comes across in their personality, and they're negative and bitter and not very pleasant to watch. But actually, despite all of the things in her life that are causing her stress, Emma is actually very likable, and I certainly wanted the best for her. Duncan is a very likable character as well. If you like the classic Christmas royalty film where we have a European prince who falls in love with a common American girl, to want for a better term, then this is a really good example of how to do that film well. I definitely enjoyed it, and I'm very happy to recommend A Prince for Christmas.